we're going to go on a map that we haven't seen today. Surprise, surprise, and exciting. It's actually going to be on Polypoid. And this map, I have seen only nutty ZVPs on here.
Yeah, Polypoid actually is my favorite ladder map because it's very standard. I don't feel like there's any like gimmicks to it. It's just a straight up macro fest, and cRoSs knows how to play the macro, so this should be a really good game. Tech coming in here, we haven't seen any PvZs on here in a while, so not sure what he wants to opt for, what he's going to open with. The positions on here I think make a big difference. Bottom right very clumped up, so I would expect to see gateway expand. So let's get into game 3. This decides who's facing Ziki in the deciders match. It is Tech versus cRoSs on Polypoid. So in the bottom left, coming off of a strong victory, it is cRoSs. And in the top left, kind of had a heartbreaking opener. Let's see if he can recover. In the green, it is Tech. So Polypoid, didn't you tell me you don't like this map? I tuned into your stream. I'm pretty sure I hear that you don't like this map.
I like the map. It's just it's hard. It's a hard map to play, man. And I think it's that high ground at your third. Just the dynamic of having that big high ground changes so many matchups. In ZVP specifically, obviously, like once you get lurkers, it's such a hard thing to break. And because of that high ground, I think it lends itself to way longer games in all matchups, right? You can play with fewer units because you have that big defensive advantage on most positions. Now, there's some asymmetrical imbalances where sometimes one player's high ground faces the other player's high ground, and that player does not have a high ground to use as much as the other player. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I do like this map, but sometimes playing Terran on it, playing TVP on it is pretty annoying, and TVT also, because the high ground is just, sometimes it can work for you, sometimes it works against you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know what you're saying. The high ground is definitely, I agree, an issue for a specific matchup. Now I'm thinking back to last game, because Tech was close to maybe not winning, but like maybe stabilizing the game if he could get off some more storms. And I was watching the lurker upgrade timing in particular for cRoSs. There were no lurkers throughout the entire game. They just were not made at all. So if he is going to miss his lurker upgrade again and nothing goes wrong for Tech, I think that could be a window of opportunity that Tech could exploit, because cRoSs was really lacking, the AoE units himself. So he just had pure hydra. So look to that to be kind of a turning point potentially if nothing happens in the early stages. Now Tech again, I think is going to take a lot of damage here. Okay, actually those cannons are faster than I thought. I thought the forge was a little delayed. It's actually not going to take any damage. But again, we get a glimpse at the BSL logos, man. Like, they're pretty sick. I really like them.
Yeah, these maps are pretty slick. It can be, as a player, it can be a bit distracting because you're kind of used to like a specific tile set, right? Like, and because of how, some of these maps look a bit different in game, is all I'm saying. And like the first time you load into them, you're like, oh, what is this? But definitely looking slick. Yeah, it's just awesome to see where BSL is at after 10 seasons, right? Like, just such a sick tournament. And we've only, this is just day one, boys. We've got like a whole marathon ahead of us with even sicker things to come. Now,
that's a big pickoff right there, getting the probe.
Yeah, it's pretty huge.
What do you, as a old Zerg player, when you kill a probe this fast, what's going through your mind? Well, we already see a third hatch, so assume you also have a third hatch coming in. Are you thinking like, okay, now's my time to bust? Do I just play it normal? You're just assuming that Protoss is panicking? What's going through your mind here? How can you exploit Protoss not having vision right now?
Right now, I think there's only one exploit that could be possible, and it's literally just rallying lings and going speed. This is too early to put down the Hydra Den anyway, because the third hatch is already down, and you want to go up to a certain drone count, as we know, the famous 973. That's really the drone count you want to hit if you want to play like I mean, the thing is, you could go even faster than that and go 971 or even like super all in. Those are all options for sure. But I think just in general, because this third hatch is coming, you can't really commit to a big all in other than maybe rally link speed. But that's how early that probe was killed, right? And you know, the thing is, as a Zerg player, like, should you really jump on that and completely change your build around it? No, I think you just know that, okay, cRoSs is basically going to have to send another probe out. You see, this probe gets absolutely no vision, and now Tech is in a world of hurt. He has no idea what is going on. He had to send another probe, so his economy is like in the dumpster right now. And cRoSs is just playing standard behind this, so it's up to Tech to make a hard read here. Am I getting all in, or is cRoSs playing standard? He's going Citadel first, then Stargate. So this Stargate is actually more delayed than it should be, and that's even less scouting information. Like the Spire going down approximately the same time. I mean, cRoSs is in a really good position again from the opening.
Yeah, that probe going down was actually the worst timing it could have gone down, because it came in, saw the third hatch, and saw no drones mining there. It would be different if he saw a few drones mining there, but because he saw none mining there, he has absolutely no idea what this is. I actually like the Citadel follow first, because if there are going to be hydra busts, you're going to need to rush out your Templar Archive pretty fast. Stargate coming in, I think the Zealots moving out kind of confirmed that hydra bust is not coming just yet, so he didn't rush the Templar Archive. I find that a bit shocking, but I think it's mostly because he's gas starved. Oh, maybe he does still think that potentially Hydra's going to come, because third
Hydras
coming up
are usually around 6 minutes is really when it starts hitting with both upgrades. So it's still very possible that cRoSs kind of hiding Hydras out on the map or something. But you know, the longer we get, okay, finally the first Corsairs out around this time is really when Hydras would be hitting. You can see Tech is going for that 6-minute DT. Kind of, this is exactly the build he did on Optimizer. So it was Citadel before Stargate. And that DT is really fast, but the thing is, cRoSs has already seen this in game one, so I don't think he's going to be as caught off guard by it. I think, you know, that was kind of a silly mistake, dying to that DT that just ran into his main. I don't think he's going to make that same mistake twice. And of course, on this map, as opposed to Optimizer, the 3-base layout is much more compact, so it's easier to just keep your stuff together and not die to this one DT. And is he going to notice the blur? I highly doubt it. He doesn't know there's a DT out. He's running around the links, doesn't see the Zealots, so he knows Zealots are out on the map, doesn't choose to run by. So, yeah, I mean, this DT's coming. I don't think it's going to do the same damage it did in game one, though, Nyokin.
Well, there's nothing to defend,
oh my
though.
God,
like,
dude.
you gotta have actual units. So DT's just like, what's up, bro? Let me just walk in here. And he gets into the main, which has no overlord. There's overlords in every base except the main, and he didn't see it. Okay, now he reacts. Two drones go down. Oh, I'm getting flashbacks. How does this Spire survive? Okay, thankfully the overlord's a bit closer this time.
Yeah, the overlord's way closer than last time, at least. I don't think he's gonna get the Spire, so not a total repeat of last game, but you know, cRoSs' heart must have sank at that point. Like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening again. DT gets 5 kills though, so that's definitely worth it. Gets full scouting information. Look at the worker count. I mean, Tech is in a fantastic position, and he's still getting some swipes onto these DT, onto drones. 6 kills, 7 kills, 8 kills, 9 kills. What? 1 kills. cRoSs didn't even see it. And Tech is just gonna walk right out there. Overlord speed finally finishes, but that's massive damage.
10 probes or 10 drones getting taken out by a DT who should have really only gotten 5. And now look at the drone count. It's 25 to 45. Gateways are already up for Tech. cRoSs gonna do something now. Luckily, there's no storm for cRoSs or for Tech just yet, so cRoSs actually has a decent shot at busting through. But there's so many Zealots. Remember, he got Citadel pretty quickly. Surprisingly, there's no speed. Okay, now speed kicks in, so he should easily defend this.
Yeah, there's only 3 cannons and no storm though, so I mean, maybe cRoSs has a hail. It doesn't look like cRoSs committing to any kind of counterattack though, because you can see his worker count shot back up to 35 after, you know, going down to 20. He made a couple buildings here, so down to 33, but it doesn't look like cRoSs is gonna, you know, commit to sort of a massive all-in counter. And so Tech's not going to die despite only having 3 cannons and no storms. Finally, he warps in 6 cannons, but honestly, that's not a big deal because he already has the gateways, you know, made, right? Usually making this many cannons is a huge deal when you don't have your infrastructure, you know, when you don't have those gateways. But Tech will have production behind this, so he's going to have to move out at some point. He's going to move out again. And the thing is, cRoSs has been making only drones. You can see he's being given time to kind of re-drone up. That's the only thing. These zealots from Tech, they need to be out on the map and playing aggressively, but Tech, I think because he did so much damage, he was actually expecting cRoSs to just all in him, and you can see that's why he's playing so defensively. And I think it was part of a mistake from him because remember, he had a 6-minute DT queue up. His Templar Archives was built so early, and only now did he get Templars and Storm finished, right? He should have had those Templars eons ago.
I think this is still okay from Tech because even though maybe he gets the Templars a little late, he's still waiting for the goons because Zealots, Templar are great, but once goons start coming in, like they just start getting pot shots off. They start dealing so much damage. So I'm okay with the Templars being delayed a little bit. The Zealot move out is going to force even more units from cRoSs. In theory, you would think, well, okay, I'm punishing the Zerg because it can't drone up behind us. But cRoSs did a good job to re-drone up very quickly, 43 to 45 workers now. And this is Polypoid, where it is somewhat hard to get a third base. You don't really want to take that mineral only simply because it's like right there. Zerg can instantly counterattack. Now, the speed on the Overlords, I actually thought we may end up seeing a drop like we saw him pull out on Optimizer, but we haven't seen that just yet. But that is a lot of goons now. Now, remember, I was talking about the Lurker upgrade. I still haven't seen a single Lurker for cRoSs right now. He really needs to have some type of AoE if he wants to engage this army.
Yeah, it looks like he's morphing in 4 Lurkers, though, on the production tab. And the thing is, here's where Polypoid is going to play out because, you know, on most maps, you see this and you're like, wow, Protoss is going to have a huge timing attack here. But on this map, where do you attack? Do you attack the... it's really hard to attack on this map. He can go for the mineral only, but then he's fighting up, you know, up high ground against Lurkers. He can go to 6 o'clock, but 6 o'clock is such a compact, small base that you can hold with just a couple of Lurkers. And this, so contrasting this game with Siki's game against DeWalt in the use of Lurkers, on a map like Reap the Storm, it's not really clear what defensive positions there are for Lurkers. But on a map like Polypoid, it's so obvious, dude. See high ground? Put Lurkers on high ground. And look, cRoSs lining up those Lurkers, gonna have that high ground, you know, protection. Tech, though, he has a really good opportunity here before the Lurkers get reinforced, and I actually think Tech is gonna break through this and kill the mineral only.
Yeah, there's so many hydras on the low ground that cRoSs doesn't realize, but now all that's left are goons, and they'll be fighting uphill. They've got to get onto the high ground. Looks like they are going to make it, but no more storms available, and Tech isn't reinforcing, so I actually think cRoSs going to hold this off, and this could be a big blunder from Tech. Goons are very expensive.
Dude, this is Polypoid in a nutshell. This high ground is insane. In no world should Zerg have ever held that after donating those Lurkers for free, letting Protoss get the dream engagement. But you can see just how absolutely insane this high ground is. Not only the high ground, but there were some buildings there kind of messing up the Dragoon AI, but the Dragoon AIs, like the Dragoons that were actually fighting the Hydralisks, half of them were missing half the time. And in a fight where Zerg had no business winning in any world whatsoever, he completely crushes it. And now Zerg is ahead on supply. Now Tech doing some nice guerrilla tactics, sending some zealots, sneaking those zealots into the main base of cRoSs, so he's going to be able to kill some more drones. Taking his own third base behind this, though, honestly, he would rather be taking 12 o'clock where that third gas is, but this third base is so late. Tech is about to mine out in his main, at least, and he's going to go back to 2 base, whereas Zerg is functionally going to be on 4 base for a while, and it's just such a bad position. It's so unfortunate because Tech should, I mean, the thing is, it is Polypoid. He should know better, but on any other map, in any other kind of battlefield, Protoss just rolls that Zerg army handedly.
Yeah, a bit unlucky there for Tech, and now supply lead, or almost supply lead for cRoSs, never where you want to be as a Protoss player. Pro desperately needs to get up top middle. as Protoss, you cannot just survive on taking this one mineral only base. You really, oh well, he's gonna catch a few hydras here, but he desperately needs to get up that third gas. Something I was watching in Tech's main is it didn't look like the forge is spinning, and I'm not too sure if he has double forge, but he definitely needs to get those upgrades going, because I saw that cRoSs already has +1, should be at +2 pretty soon. But I also noticed that the evolution chamber, I think, went down at the third base for cRoSs, so maybe +2 has been delayed. But still, Tech is in an okay position, but with the Queen's Nest up, with Hive coming in pretty soon, if he's not able to bust a Zerg that's just on Lair Tech, it's going to be even harder to bust now that they're going to have Dark Swarm and Cracklings coming in pretty soon.
Yeah, Dark Swarm's basically like a timer for the Protoss, because once Defilers hit the game, you know, Protoss needs to have a strong economy and has to be kind of transitioning into an anti-Dark Swarm army composition, whether it's Mass Zealot Archon, whether it's adding more Reavers, whether it's getting that third gas, fourth gas up to just spam Templars and spam Storm under Dark Swarm. But like staying on this Goon Templar mid-game army, look how many goons he has. That has an expiration date, and the expiration date is the Caterpillar Man eating up the dogs and throwing the orange cloud on you, and after that, even the red whatever that is, the red boogers on you. But
the ketchup, man.
The ketchup, I guess the ketchup and the mustard almost. But honestly, it's gonna be hard for Tech to do anything because he lost complete tempo on the game after that push. You can see all his all his attention, all his army movements right now are aimed at defending his 12 o'clock, aimed at defending his main base, and now he's moving his army kind of to the left side, to the 9 o'clock base, maybe checking for a base there, not really accomplishing much. And this is the time, kind of like in PvZ, right before Defilers, Protoss needs to get out on the map and pressure, needs to do something with this really strong composition. But you know, in that first fight, also what went really wrong for Tech is that he lost all those Templar before he got the Cassini Storm, so he needs to be way more careful. cRoSs getting a cheeky base at the right side of the map, though. I really like this, especially with Hive coming in. He's going to be able to get a Nidus down and get that base for free.
Yeah, well, this is always the awkward part in the game, where I see Protoss just bounce around with not really any opportunity to attack, and it kind of just feels like they just let Zerg get into Hive Tech, and then it starts getting really crazy, and we can see another huge swell of blue units just flood onto that third base. I don't think this was... Yeah, okay, he's going to back off for now. But you can see that cRoSs is just starting to be everywhere. There's another swell of units on the right side of the map. There's more on the left side. He's just everywhere. I saw that he was upgrading Lings, so they're going to be hitting like trucks pretty soon. And because he's already gotten speed on his Overlords, should be getting drops pretty soon. And we know how fast Ling drops just obliterate, buildings that Protoss players have. So if he can get a drop into the main, I think that could be lights out for Tech. Tech needs to get a fifth base. Okay, there he is, mineral only fifth base. But here he comes. Can he bust through? It is before the Caterpillar Man, and the Floaty Man is pretty strong himself, so maybe he can actually bust through this blue Hydra Ling army comp.
Yeah, maybe. The Storms are on point here, but Tech doesn't really have a clear attack path. Look, he doesn't want to funnel into those lurkers, and it takes so long to just kind of set up your army just right, because, you have to have the goons out in front, the zealots in the back, not leaking any zealots into the lurkers to not bleed them for free. And by the time you get that set up, you don't know if the Zerg is counterattacking your 12 o'clock or counterattacking this mineral only. So Tech, he's going to be forced into playing a really long game against cRoSs here. And I mean, the thing is, PvZ late game is so hard. I mean, it's just so oppressive to play against Defilers. And look, the thing is, Tech doesn't even have the proper worker saturation, still only on 47 probes for functionally 4 bases. He mined out his main, but this new mineral only is going to put him back to 4 bases. He really needs to go up to even 60 probes, I would say, to actually start pumping out of gateways and keep up with the Zerg late game. Now he's going to manage to push up into this base, which would be huge. He really, if he kills this base, he's going to be in a pretty decent spot, but the Nidus is already there. I don't know, man. The Caterpillar Man's right there.
Yeah, but he's got to send some units. There we go. They just barely pop out of the Nidus in time. And
my God.
Tech is actually not going to be able to bust through. I actually love this base from cRoSs because what it does is it draws the entirety of the Protoss army out of position. We saw that cRoSs instantly went for a counterattack, but the reinforcing zealots actually held them off. But the idea to pull Protoss across the map, I love it. And now Tech is on a clock because mid-right is a base that you want to contest as Protoss. You do not want to let Zerg get that base. So if that gets mined out, he's in big time trouble. There's the orange cloud, and that's gonna allow these hydras to just bust down these cannons. But Templars come in, storms are blanketing them. So for now, Tech is gonna hold on, but he desperately needs to get up top right and try and get a 4th and 5th gas. Right now, he only has 3 gas, and the main and Nat are already mined out.
Yeah, and the late game is starting to tax Tech. You can see he's getting into this really difficult position to pilot. His minerals are skyrocketing even though he's not maxed. He's not taking bases top right. He needs to be doing all of this at once. Meanwhile, cRoSs has no problem getting bottom right. Rebuilding the Nidus. cRoSs is navigating this much better than Tech is, and Tech is being put, he's being, like, his mechanics are being taxed now, and this is really purely mechanical based PvZ into the late game like this. You have to keep making Zealots, you have to keep making Templar, you have to keep making Archons, cannons everywhere. Like, it really is a very high, as opposed to almost every other situation Protoss has to play in the game, this is the real taxing one in terms of your mechanics. It's almost very similar to playing SK Terran and TvZ late game, where you have to just constantly be churning out units out of your bases and expand and like constantly putting pressure. You can't really, if you're not putting pressure, that gives Zerg time to set up drops, that gives Zerg time to set up random defiler attacks with lings and stuff. So Tech doing a good job here out on the map. Look, he's expanding top right, and he's still macroing, got his minerals down, moving his army around, trying to find some place of attack. But the thing is, once Zerg gets Nidus, I mean, they can be absolutely everywhere at once, and it's gonna be so hard. I'm waiting to see Tech switch into reavers or something, more shuttle play. He needs to incorporate more shuttles to start harassing the Zerg economy, maybe even go into Corsair. It's some crazy thing to offset cRoSs, because all cRoSs has to do is ferry units across the map through Nidus and fight the Protoss army at his bases.
Well, we see the first reaver come out at that mineral only. Tech's starting to get top right, and Protoss has one of the strongest late game comps once you start adding in all those AoE units like the Reaver, the Floaty Man, the Arbiter, Dark Archon with Maelstrom. They've got really a ton of AoE. So if Tech decides to start going into split map, I think he's got a good shot. But the fact that cRoSs already secured mid-right, that's one base that's never going to be denied from Tech. So he needs to get up top right, needs to get his gas going. Look at how low he is on the gas, consistently around 100, 150 gas. There's almost no real Tech units other than those 5-6 Templars that we already see sitting out there. And he just doesn't have a standing army now. Well, okay, actually that's a decent army. He needs to start morphing in some Archons. Archons are super strong, but I did notice that he is lacking on the Plasma Shield upgrades, so Archons are still taking a lot of damage from these Lings and Hydras. Look at those upgrades. +3 on the Lings, +2 on the Hydras. No shields right now, so Archons are super weak. And here comes the catch-up that I think we just missed.
Yeah, there's a catch-up, dude. Prepping, seasoning those Zealots up for the Lings to just eat them up afterwards. But, this is the hard part for Tech. Like, where does he go with his army? Because if he moves to the right side, suddenly his mineral only at the top left becomes vulnerable. But if he defends the top left mineral only, then his right side expansions become vulnerable. And finally we get into the phase of the game. We can see the Zerg flood. Finally, cRoSs, content with where his economy's at, he's just going to start box sending units all over the map. It doesn't really matter what he does. He can box, make Lings, box a move, box, I don't know, just box anything, box it around. And that's really all the Zerg needs to think about here, is boxing stuff. And Tech's gonna have such a hard time because he's running out of minerals in his main. His main is mined out, his natural's mined out. He's on 3 base. I don't think he managed to actually saturate his base. Yeah, the natural at top right isn't even saturated. It's really hard to get probes across the map, obviously, from top left to top right. So Tech economically in a terrible position. He's not even maxed. he has no bank, and cRoSs's maxed with a bank with way more bases. I mean, what does Tech do here?
cRoSs needs to just attack the main of Tech because he just isolated the entirety of the army on the right side, and they would have to come through a lurker field. So just an all-out, I want to see non-stop blue lines to top left would easily bust through, and then Tech would have to rebuild all of his buildings. Instead, it looks like Tech or cRoSs wants to attack the most defended area of the map. There's reavers here, there's mass storm, there's cannons, there's zealots. I think this is a big mistake. There's a catch-up, but it doesn't hit very much. So I think this is a bit of a blunder here, but meanwhile, cRoSs did take mid-left, but Zealot counterattack is going to easily take down this hat tree.
Yeah, it's interesting what you pointed out there, Nike, and I think psychologically it's hard to make those decisions because, look, here's what cRoSs's thinking about. Why would I attack top left when it's mined out, right? Like, top right is where all the resources that are at for the cRoSs player, so he's focusing all his attention on the resources because you kind of just assume maybe cRoSs is just going to have all his, just rebuild his base in top right, and I understand that, but the reality is, Tech is thinking the same thing. This is where all my resources are at. This is where the Zerg's going to attack me. If you just go and attack his main, or attack even this mineral only that's been mining for free at Tech's high ground, that's the freest base to attack, the mineral only, and it's still been mining this whole time. So cRoSs, I think, maybe tunnel visioning a bit, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. I mean, he's in such a dominating position. The thing is, at some point, he's going to have to try and close the game out. Of course, Tech, if you let cRoSs kind of war of attrition you, it's not good, right? Like, cRoSs eventually, if he splits the map, but the reality is, even in the split map situation, like you mentioned, cRoSs already has mid-right mining from a long time, and now he's going to secure mid-left, so he's going to have two bases extra full resources to work to basically win the game, which is more than enough, I think, in this matchup.
Well, we got a Templar drop on the right side to eliminate a lot of the drones, but Tech getting top right is a big deal. Main, Nat, third base gas should have all been mined out, so for him to get, lurker drop, unfortunately, this is not that Bonneth game that we saw a few weeks ago in the Foreign All-Stars where two lurkers got like 30 kills. That's a great catch-up onto all those Templars, but 5 gas cRoSs is super deadly if they can just consistently pump out those high-tech units. And now that he's building up a decent count of reavers, there is a real chance that we may just be in store for like an hour-long camp fest.
Yeah, maybe we should shift gears and start talking about other things, because it's hard to say really here what's happening. The thing is, honestly, Zerg should be able to close this game out. He just needs to coordinate like a decisive attack. But cRoSs's struggling, and I understand. You have to remember, guys, this is a tournament game. They're both fighting for, this is their tournament lives. Literally, whoever loses this is out of the tournament. So I can understand that both are playing really slow. I mean, Tech, for example, he's playing this game out despite being in a really, really rough position. And cRoSs, instead of kind of committing to ending the game, he's also taking his time, probably afraid of throwing the game, but he has such a massive lead. Look, he's still ahead in supply, and when you're ahead in supply, and when cRoSs isn't maxed in this matchup, you should be able to just A-move him, and I think cRoSs finally finding the weak spot, this mineral only third that I spoke about earlier that should really just have been killed, but it's basically mined out at this point.
Yeah, cRoSs finally realizes that all of the defense is on the right side, so he's starting to attack the left side, but as I say that, now a reaver pops out, so that should actually fend off a lot of the Zerg incoming army. Lurker trying to be annoying at top right, looks like it's gotten 2 kills so far, but cRoSs, he's still in a fine position. He's still got, 7 bases, including mid-right, but the fact that cRoSs was able to get up to 6 base, get out so many reavers, I don't think Tech is out of it yet. I like how he's not spending a ton of minerals on units like the Zealot that are just going to kind of get plagued like we see there. He is kind of, waiting to build Templar. He's not just instantly going to 200. There's the drop that I was waiting for. Templars, I don't think should have Storm. Zealots are out of position, so that's going to be a lot of gateways just instantly dying.
Yeah, I think cRoSs finally, well, the thing is, even if he kills this main, I think Tech at this point is going to be accepting the fact that he's going to lose this main, and he's just going to start rebuilding his units, or his buildings top right. Now, so many Hydras here, they're going to be able... Dude, that Lurker Egg is just blocking the entirety of the Protoss army from coming back into the main. Meanwhile, Tech trying to find some counter-harassment with this shuttle. Drops down to 2 Reavers, going to be able to clean up this these 4 Hydralisks, and they're probably going to be able to stop mining at bottom right. So Tech suddenly, like, he's fighting back for sure. And cRoSs, you can see he depleted his basically his bank. So I mean, there is a world where maybe cRoSs kind of grinds a win out from here, but it's gonna be so hard with mid left and mid right still owned by Zerg bases.
These lurkers are hilarious because the Reaver is either bugging out and not firing, or it doesn't have any scarabs. It looks like it just wasn't firing because now it finally fires. And all these gates die. And now where's the production for Tech? On the right side, on the mini, oh, he just taps out, GG. So cRoSs is going to be the one to move on, and he's going to be rewarded again with playing Zeke this time, and it's going to be a best of 3 again. And now we may actually get to see the matchup that I wanted, which is Optimizer. But regardless, Tech played very well today. Almost